the Queen 9-10 playing together, and I just flat call here. I want to disguise the strength of my hand. I want to pretend I've got a flush draw, which I do, but I don't want to give away the fact that I've got a 10 in my hand, because he would surely think if I've got a 10 I should be leading out on the flop, and it just gets better and better. We've got the nuts. As I say, there's no hand that can beat us. Just under pot bet. I'm hoping he's got pair of aces or pair of kings and he thinks they're good. We've maybe missed our flush draw and we're trying to steal it away from him. Not a great hand, but well, I'm pretty sure I play this hand here. The pair of fives is pretty junk. We've got the 4, 5, 8 playing for a straight. The flush draw is pretty useless as well, but if we can get it heads up, we're not too unhappy. I'm pretty sure because this is heads up, I'm pretty sure I call this. Yeah, just looking to get the guy's stack on the flop. Yeah, if we get the right flop, then we're going to take his whole $37. But the way that the hand played out, I really don't know if we would have. I'm pretty sure it just goes check check, and he lets us get there on the river. We get trip eights and we stick a lot of value bet in. Such a milky little bit. Obviously if he's got a straight with Queen 9 or 7-9, we're in pretty bad shape, but we don't want to check again and then he bets a pot size bet and we've got to call. So it's betting just to find out where we are. Again, it's one of these information gathering bets, and it's also can work as a value bet as well. Yeah, a fairly weak pair of kings here. It'd be nice if our ace was suited. The call for set, just looking at hit a king on him. Pretty garbage flop. I'm just going to let the guy take it away from us here. And goes check check, and we pick up the king high flush draw now, so we just check for a bit more pot control. Remember how this hand played out actually. Yeah, and then we get the worst river card we could have hoped for. Yeah, when you see this here, because we hit our flush. So because we've disguised the strength of our hand, it's quite a big bet he sticks on the river. And I did take quite a while to call this. I had to think about it. The only hand that beats us is the ace high flush. So I maybe should have thought about it a little bit longer. Would he really be betting the queen high flush is strong? Would he be betting the 9 high flush? What hands would he be betting this strong with? And I ended up calling, and he flips over the nuts, which fair enough. He'd flopped a set, and then he rivered the flush. So we tried to keep the pot fairly cheap, but we hit the absolute worst turn, the worst river card for us. That was a little dent. That was about $14, $15. So another weak pair of queens here, looking at getting for cheap. And probably on tilt from that hand there, just quick fold, not looking to get mixed up. And semi-playable hand here in the big blind. It's not too great, but it's nice to have the ace-8 suited. And we just obviously quick fold that. I suppose the 6-9-10 can play together, the 9-10 jack can play together. It's not too bad. I'm pretty sure I call $1 here. Can't remember what happens though. We stick a lot of raise in, try to, not really, well basically trying to represent the 5. If he doesn't have a 5 in his hand, it's pretty hard for him to continue. I'm basically hoping he's got an overpair and he lets it go. So because he only flat called on the flop, I know he doesn't have a 5. So I basically just fire another big bet in there. If he calls again, we pick up a pair of 10s. I don't know if I look at the last hand history there. Oh, this is the guy that had the nut flush, and I'm just giving him a bit of a note, just to respect his river value bets in the future. But the last hand with the pair of 5s on the flop, when I raise on the flop, I'm basically asking if he's got a 5, and when he just flat calls, he's probably got an overpair or he's got the nut flush draw. And when it comes a brick on the turn, even though I pick up a 10, I'm not value betting my pair of 10s. I'm basically just trying to continue the bluff, telling him I've got a 5. So it's a pretty hard call for him on the last one. If he's just got the overpair or he's got the flush draw, he doesn't have the odds to chase if he thinks I've got a 5. I get another little note on this guy. Basically saying that he'll let you limp in the small blind and he won't raise. A lot of players, if you limp in the small blind, they'll just raise you in the big blind with any 4 cards. And that's just a little note, so that if he's in the big blind and I'm in the small blind, I know that if he raises it at the big blind, he's got a hand. He's not doing with any old rags. There's that good player again. It's nice to have these little notes, because in the rush you move tables so often it's hard to get reads on people. So if you've got the quick notes, I give the decent players or the good players a blue tag, and the players that'll throw their money away a purple tag. Just so it's easy to see. We check the flop here, just for a bit of, we're in position, a bit of pot control, we get a free turn card, and it was a horrible river card for us. We had 2 pairs, but the pair on the board means that if he's got any pocket pair, 7s or above, he's got the best hand, and he's got pocket kings. So we had him in bad shape going to the river. And if you see that here, he needed a king, look at that again, he needed a king, a 10 or a 2 on the river. It was the only way he could win the pot, and he got the 2 on the river. So it wasn't even worth putting him in for the extra 90 cents, just saved myself 90 cents on the river there. It was an interesting way for him to play pocket kings though. Check the flop and then call when he was behind, and then check the river when he was ahead. Pretty sure I just fold this here. And it's a pretty junk hand, I don't know what I'm thinking about. Semi-playable hand here, double suited. The 6-9 play together, the 9-Jack-Queen play together. Obviously the flush draws aren't great, but as long as you can keep the pot fairly cheap. Pick up a gut shot, and 8 gives us a straight. I don't even think I called the $1.50 there. I'm out of position for the guy for the rest of the hand, and with clubs on the board, if it comes to 8 of clubs, I've no idea where I am. I think I'm planning on limping in here, or just completing, as they say. I'm pretty sure we paid the 25 yet. Not a great hand here, just looking again for cheap. And he takes it away. Now this is a pretty sick hand. I remember this one vividly. So we raise it up with we've got the suited ace here and pocket kings. Just looking to build the pot pre-flop. Hopefully if we get a nice flop we can start building the pot a little bit bigger. And we get a re-raise on the button, and we call the $3.75, and it comes in quite a nice flop. We've got the nut spade draw, we've got a gut shot to the Broadway if a jack comes, and we've got a king for trips. So we quite like the flop here. It's not a bad flop for us. And he fires out a big, fairly decent bet, and we re-raise him all in. And we've obviously got to call that, and he flips over, he's got a set of 10s. So we've still got a lot of outs to hit, and we just brick there. But if you're playing Omaha, you've really got to get used to the swings. You can't win them all. So as I say, looking at that again, we did have a fair few outs. If I try and count it quickly, 9, 10, 11, we've got about 14 outs twice. Obviously you can pair the board and he's got a full house. But we've still got 14 outs to hit. Well, 13 because he's got the 10 of spades. I'm pretty sure I reloaded after that. I don't normally like reloading. I'll only reload even if I lose a couple of pots. I'll only really reload unless a double up puts me back to my starting start. Because if I tend to lose track of how much I've bought in for, which not really a good thing when you're playing Omaha, because the swings can be pretty sick. We take a little reload on here. I don't know how much I buy in for. Well, we just top it up to the $46 or whatever it is. Semi-playable hand here. And we call just to see the flop, and we break the flop. And we like crappy poker, steal it away from us. Definitely, you need to, if you're playing Omaha, it's such a swingy game, you need to try and control your emotions. And even though we lost a pretty sick, well, it was basically a $100 flip, you really don't go chasing your losses. If you go chasing your losses, chances are you'll just end up losing another buy-in, 2-3 buy-ins. You've still got to stay as patient as you can. Just look for your good spots. It's the good thing about Rush, there's always a hand another 2 seconds away. So don't get too carried away, just try and play your normal game. Got a medium strength pair of queens here, got the king 2 suited with it, which isn't too great, but hopefully we can get it heads up. Don't really want to play it in a 3, 4, 5 way pot. And we get min re-raised, so we definitely call the dollar. Such a strange little min re-raise, and then he checks this again, showing it's so weak. So we're pretty sure our queens are good here. If he had aces or kings, I'd be surprised if he re-raised pre-flop and then checked the flop. The only hand that would make sense he'd be doing that with is if he had top set with the nut flush draw, but highly unlikely. He probably had 4 to a straight and he was trying to build the pot pre-flop. But an interesting play out of position. And it's a pretty ugly flop. Really, just looking at check fold this here. Actually, the only card we're going to be happy with is if a 5 comes and then we get a full house somehow. But with a straight on the board already, it's not the nicest situations. Just looking at check fold. We never think our pair of 5s is good here in a 4-way pot, obviously. Hovering over check fold already. Well, I was surprised I folded that so quickly. We had a suited ace, double suited, with 3 to the straight. And the queen ace we played to Broadway as well. I'm surprised I folded that as quick as I did. It's always good actually looking back, since I started making the videos, looking back over some of the hands that I played. I must be thinking different things at the time. But there's a few situations I've been able to look at that I'm pretty sure I would play the hand differently if I could try it again. So it's a good way to learn if you're able to record videos of your own game and then watch them back over and see different things that you could have done. Definitely anything that helps you improve your game's never a bad thing. Double suited here, got 3 to Broadway. Quite a nice hand to see a flop with. I'm not going to get overly excited about it. Pretty sure I call a dollar here. Well, we definitely would have called the dollar, but we're not calling that huge re-raise. I'm going to fold that under the gun. I could have played that. Again, the 7-8-9 play together, the 8-9 queen play together. I was early possession. I'm pretty sure I play this hand. It's not an overly strong hand. You've got the 8, 9, 10 playing for a straight. Pocket 8s, obviously, if you hit an 8. And if you're being really optimistic, you've got a straight flush draw. So we hit middle set. Again, the only hand that's beating us at the moment is a set of aces. And it's nice to have position in the hand. And I'm sure this crappy poker calls. And we've got a gut shot draw as well actually. If a 7 comes, we've got a 10 high straight. So I don't want to flat call when any scare cards come. So I'm happy to get the money in here if one of the guys wants to go with a big straight draw. And maybe if he's got ace 6, ace 8, he's got the case 8 with an ace in his hand, he'll maybe stick his money in. We're happy to pick up there on the flop. There's a lot of scare cards could come on the turn. 3 to a